Number 10. Wonder Woman. Diana Prince, the daughter of Zeus. Okay, so before I start, I just want to say that Wonder Woman is not always overpowered. Sometimes she's way too depowered, but usually she's right perfect where she needs to be. But there are some instances where they make her way too powerful, just kind of like any other hero. Usually Wonder Woman isn't bulletproof, and that's why she blocks away bullets with her gauntlets. But there are times where they have made her completely bulletproof, or insanely fast, like almost speedster level fast, where she can move faster than speeding bullets, which is a bit crazy. Wonder Woman is one of the most powerful and coolest DC heroes, and this happens with every character. Sometimes writers make heroes, or in this case gods, just way too powerful. Number 9. Morpheus. Morpheus, also known as the God of Dreams. For the most part, he kind of just does his own thing, and hasn't really shown up a ton in the main DC continuity, but he has gradually shown up more and more over the years. He is very powerful, and he lives in a world of dreams, where he can essentially do whatever he chooses, because the dream world is his domain. So if someone were to fight him there, they would most likely not fare so well. For the most part, he's considered a good guy, but a better description would probably be anti-hero, since he does kind of just show his bad side every once in a while. Number 8. TRIGON. Good old TRIGON. If you're a fan of Teen Titans, then you are well aware of who this guy is. He's the father of one of the founding members of the Teen Titans, Raven. TRIGON is a villain that just seems to always come back, and that's probably because he is so freaking powerful. He can travel through dimensions, fly, has super strength, invulnerability, molecular reconstruction, mind control, telekinesis, telepathy, and pyrokinesis. I mean, the guy is stacked with powers. Maybe even has too many. It's a miracle that the Titans have been able to take him down at all. And he is so obsessed with making his daughter join him on the dark side. But luckily, he hasn't been fully successful on that dream yet. Number 7. Ra. Ra is not a god that all humans would know. Some do, but not all. That's because he's not one of Earth's gods. He is one of Krypton's. If you're wondering why that name sounds familiar, it's also because that is what the red sun of Krypton is named after. Also, Ra has been brought up multiple times over the years in the TV show Supergirl. I mean, in the show, humans even started their own church to worship him, because over time, humans began to learn more about him thanks to Superman and Supergirl. Usually that was only strictly on Supergirl's Earth 38, but after Crisis and the Earth merged, now there have actually been some very subtle references on the Flash that humans on now the main Earth know who Ra is, which is also just a really cool touch. But Ra is very powerful, and also kind of crazy. I mean, there are different stories about him, some still in continuity, some not. I mean, that is the comic book world for you. But at one point, he tried to become immortal and started taking life from people who followed him. It's also been stated that he created Krypton, but other stories have said otherwise.
Number 10. Dormammu. Known as the Lord of the Dark Dimension, Dormammu was born thousands to millions of years ago in the dimension of the vastly powerful energy entities called the Faltine. Dormammu and his sibling Umar gathered matter to themselves to increase their power, a practice to their fellow Faltine, becoming their dimension's mightiest sorcerers. Ultimately slaying their parent Sinifer, they were driven from their home dimension, and the Faltine deemed their gathering of such energy intolerable, so they assumed some human forms to explore others. Now you know Dormammu is strong because Odin himself considers him to be equal in strength and power, which he mentions in the Avengers Defenders War event. He's also been known to corrupt Odin's spells against his will, meaning that the sheer magical might that Dormammu wields is potentially equal to beings like Agamotto. His sorcery over the flames of Faltine also demonstrates his raw power, which he used to burn the Celestials even one time. His power is also strengthened and replenished from beings worshipping him throughout the various dimensions. In his dimension, he can banish anyone that enters if he so chooses, but he usually likes to fight them instead. He's a constant threat to the Vishanti and the universe as an entire whole, so check out his whole story in his first appearance in 1964's Strange Tales number 126. Number 9. TRIGON. Now if you're like me, then your first introduction to TRIGON was through the Teen Titans show that aired in 2003 all the way to 2006. But trust me when I say that there is more to the character than what the show, well, showed. TRIGON came into existence thousands of years ago when a group of humans abandoned life on Earth and then established a group of pacifists in the interdimensional world of Azarath. Embracing the concept of peace, these humans exorcised the dark passions of their souls from their bodies and cast it beyond the great door of Azarath into the nether realm. And then this leftover evil energy floated into space for years before finally coalescing into a single physical form. The last inhabitants of an alien world summoned this darkness from the ether and it impregnated a woman from the Order. And then 9 months later, TRIGON was born. Very early on, TRIGON showed just how evil he was as he killed every single member of that pacifist group, including his own mother, and then within a year he had conquered that entire planet. Now, TRIGON is rarely shown at full power, but from what we've seen, thanks to his demon physiology, he is capable of Eldritch Blast, size alteration, reality-altering magic, illusion magic, and transformation. Definitely check him out for yourself if you've got the time, starting with his first appearance in 1981's New Teen Titans number 4. Number 8. Darkseid. One of the eldest and first new gods, Darkseid is the tyrannical ruler of the world apocalypse. As a new god, he is a conceptual being that exists outside the normal universe in a realm called the Fourth World. Darkseid has also been called the god of evil, and while there are a few in the multiverse that could surpass him in his monstrousness, Darkseid is probably more accurately known as the god of tyranny. Darkseid's ultimate goal is to rule the universe and eliminate free will entirely. In his never-ending quest to possess the dreaded anti-life equation, there are few lengths that the new god won't go to in order to make his dream a reality. He's conquered a countless number of universes, as few can actually stand up to his powers. You know, he's armed with super strength, telekinesis, immortality, energy and mass manipulation, his omega powers, and a seemingly countless number of others. Honestly, there's little he can't do. Whenever Darkseid arrives on the scene, it's typically an all hands on deck scenario. Only beings with Superman level power and above are able to hold their own against the new god. Even though he and Highfather are equal in strength, Darkseid is far more vicious and deadly out of the two, and that's why he is on this list today. Check out his story starting with his first appearance in 1970's Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen, number 134. Number 7. Morpheus. Also known as Sandman or Dream, Morpheus is the lord of all that is not real, meaning dreams and stories. He came into existence once the first life forms were capable of complex thought and began dreaming, and that's when he became one of the Endless, the children of time, personifications of ideas and concepts that were tied to life, and were fated to fulfill their functions until the universe ended and all life disappeared from the cosmos. As the personification of dreams, he possesses absolute control over sleep, dreams, nightmares, and even insomnia, and this has granted him other powers such as, but not limited to, cosmic awareness, energy absorption, metamorphosis, telekinesis, and of course, the standard superhuman strength, stamina, and reflexes. Now, interestingly enough, despite being immortal, Morpheus was able to die, and actually did at one point, which caused a reality storm that rippled across time and space. Gods like Darkseid may pose a universal threat, but Morpheus existed in any and all dimensions in which there are dreams, and that makes his reach so much further and just a little bit more terrifying. Check out Morpheus for yourself, starting all the way back in 1989's Sandman Volume 2, number 1. Number 6. Chaos King. Amatsu Mikabashi is none other than the Chaos King, the god of evil, chaos, and the stars to the followers of the Shinto religion in Japan. He possessed the conventional abilities of one of the kami, the order of Japanese deities, such as superhuman strength, speed, durability, agility, endurance, and recuperative abilities, as well as high ability to wield some form of potent Japanese dark magic, a brand of sorcery that seems especially effective against the Olympian deities. His physical strength, at least in his main incarnation, is considerably lesser to that of Zeus or Izanagi per se, and is roughly equal to that of the average kami, but Mikabashi can project energy on a scale at least rivaling that of Zeus and Izanagi. Like the Asgardians, the Japanese gods are extremely long-lived but not truly immortal like the Olympians, as they tend to age at an extremely slow rate upon reaching adulthood and are 3 times denser than normal human beings. During the events of the Chaos War, we catch a glimpse of Chaos King teamed up with Necra and none other than the Grim Reaper and Abomination to fight against the other gods. He even goes as far as unleashing Carrion Crow, Eater of the Dead, to antagonize the revived X-Men members. Now, all in all, he is brutal in terms of methods and isn't really too easy on the eyes, so check him out for yourself, starting with 2006 Thor, Blood Oath number 6. Number 5. The Darkest Night. Now, before anyone calls me out on this, I want to make it clear why he is so low on this list today. It's because this literally just happened in the comics, so there's like no information on him, so it's kind of tough to decide where he should be on the list. Now, that being said though, he still deserves to be talked about today. Now, formerly known as the Batman Who Laughs, Earth -22's Bruce Wayne is a bit more evil than the others. After snapping Joker's neck, a mysterious gas entered his body and caused his mind and body to transform into an insane Batman-Joker hybrid. Now, that's basically all you really need to know for this instance, so let's talk about how he turned into the Darkest Night. So it's revealed in Dark Knight's Death Metal issue 2 that the Batman Who Laughs has been in possession of the body of a mysterious blue Bruce Wayne, and that he had a plan revolving around him. After his death at the hands of Wonder Woman, this plan goes underway as Alfred takes the brain of the evil Batman and places it inside the body of the blue Bruce, who is revealed to be a Batman Dr. Manhattan hybrid that I call Batmanhattan. Before long, the Batman Who Laughs wakes up in his new body, now more powerful than ever, as he possesses all of the powers of Dr. Manhattan, the intellect of Batman, Batman and the insanity of the Joker. Without hesitation, he pulverizes all of his followers except for the Robin King, but he doesn't stop quite there. The Batman who laughs has no interest in being the pure blue-like character. Instead, he alters his shape yet again to become a monstrous creature of shadow. Put simply, this is the most powerful Batman we've ever seen to date, and I personally can't wait to see what's to come. Check out the lead up to this reveal starting with 2020's Dark Knight's Death Metal #1.
Number 10, Black Widow. Alright, so granted this is from a what if, so in terms of the main continuity it doesn't really count, but after her apparent death in the MCU, you know I gotta throw my girl Natasha a bone. And besides, I'm always talking about her awful ultimate version on our list lately, so it's redemption time for Natasha. In What If Age of Ultron issue 3, Black Widow became a god after Thor fell. Many supers and dear friends had also fallen at this point, and so it was up to Natasha to try and wield the hammer of Thor. She had to battle her way to Mjolnir, but ended up successful in retrieving it, managing even to be deemed worthy enough to lift it, and transforming her into her own version of the Thunder God. She ended up defeating the great Midgard serpent Jormungand, and while others fell in the battle, we later found out that this version of Natasha from Earth 23223 actually managed to survive despite being thought dead at the end of the comic. Also, this is a cosplay that I need to do, so adding it to my list. Number 9. Captain America. In the events that led to Secret Wars, Black Panther realized another Earth in the sky, which apparently was destroyed. It was later discovered that this was a result of incursions created by a being known as the Great Destroyer, who was causing alternate Earths to collide. In an attempt to save both Earths, the main continuity Earth of 616 and Earth 1610, from colliding with one another, the Illuminati decided to give Captain America the Infinity Gauntlet. Cap, being the kind-hearted soul he is, did not let this power go to his head and could not bring himself to destroy the other Earth. Instead, he used the gauntlet to push the two Earths as far away from one another as he could muster. Unfortunately, this caused the Infinity Stones to shatter, taking Cap back from God mode to plain old super soldier mode in a matter of minutes. Also, it didn't work, so. Number 8. Jane Foster. While Jane Foster was often more resigned originally to being simply a love interest of Thor's, her character has grown immeasurably in the comics. After answering the call of Thor's hammer, she became both a superhero and god instantly. Wielding Thor's hammer seemed to grant her all of Thor's powers and abilities. To me, this kind of felt like a throwback to the days where the hammer seemed to be the source almost of Thor's power, back when he had his alter ego Donald Blake, who now is actually his own being separate from Thor. Figure that. But becoming the goddess of thunder was not actually the only time that Jane became godlike. Odin also once tested her by turning her into an Asgardian and giving her powers, though he quickly took this away from her after declaring she had failed the test due to the fact that she was confused as to, you know, why she had powers and like what's going on Asgard. Odin can be such a jerk. And then there was that time that Thor's other love, Sif, merged with Jane to save her life when she was deathly ill. So, she's been a god a few times. Number 7. Wolverine. Wolverine is actually one of the best people to give godlike powers to. I know, surprising. Because he is often quick to use them and then just lose them. When he found himself possessed by the Phoenix Force during a team up with Spidey, where they were both stuck being tossed about through time, he ended up actually being able to eventually kick the entity out of him. And then there is the time in Uncanny X-Men Annual Issue 11, where he accidentally bled onto the psychedelic crystal of ultimate vision as he was dying. This crystal gave him the power to be resurrected from just a single drop of blood that had touched it, and allowed him to single-handedly defeat the villain Horde, transforming him into a god. But Wolverine, being Wolverine, could not be seduced by the power and decided to give it up by shattering the crystal, even if it meant that he might be destroyed in the process. Luckily, he wasn't destroyed. Neither were any of the X-Men that he was like, they might be destroyed, but worth it. Number 6. Spider-Man. I know you guys have all been waiting for this one, because of our last thumbnail on the previous video. During the run of the original Spider-Man series, Amazing Spider-Man, Peter found himself endowed with the power of Captain Universe. Although he would end up losing the godlike powers granted to him by the Enigma Force, there is another version of Peter on Earth 13 who decided to hold on to these powers, and yet another alternate who received the powers of Captain Universe on Earth 91110. On Earth 13, this God mode alternate met his end after facing off with Solus of the Inheritors. Despite being a god, his powers were attached to the life force, which energy vampires like the Inheritors feed off of. Solus, being as powerful as he was, managed to have a hearty enough appetite and be strong enough to devour the Enigma Force, killing Earth 13's Peter Parker. Sad. No more Cosmic Spider-Man. Bye. Number 5. Spawn. Spawn discovers that Armageddon is nigh, and that his ex-wife's children, Katie and Jake, are actually Satan and God respectively, incarnate. There is a being known to be even above them though, their mother, who actually gifted Satan and God with the earth to arrange as they saw fit. Basically, Satan and God are kind of just like cosmic children. However, their mother was disappointed and decided to put them inside the bodies of humans so they would hopefully learn something and just get along for once. This however failed, and they continued to wage war on one another. Spawn discovers that he may be the only one who can stop them, and sets out to prove himself worthy and eat some of the forbidden fruit, which will give him the strength that he needs. Presumably. He falls in battle after facing Judas, and the mother reveals that he has succeeded in the test and was meant to die in order to be resurrected, a la Jesus. Because apparently she was Jesus. At one point. Anyways. She gives him the fruit, which grants him the powers of the mother, turning him into a god. He ends up using the power to defeat both Satan and God and recreate the earth. Kind of ultimate god mode.
Number 6. Athena. Athena is one of the Olympians. She is the goddess of wisdom and defensive war. Her powers include deaccelerated aging. Basically, she doesn't age at the same rate as humans. She also has super strength, stamina, telepathy, invulnerability, and magic. Not only does that make her insanely powerful already, but she also has other abilities like weaponry and martial arts, which makes her extremely deadly if you were to face off with her in the battlefield. Similar to the other Olympians, in some iterations, the Olympians only hold on to these powers as long as people still worship them. Number 5. Zeus. Zeus has the power of lightning. That's not a shocker. No pun intended. Okay, actually no, that was totally intended. But this power is super strong and allows him in a sense to control the weather. In some variations of the comics, he needs people to worship him, like I stated earlier, to gain or hold how powerful he actually is. If people stop, then Zeus, his power would fade over time. Zeus can not only control the weather, but he can also resurrect people from the dead. He also has the ability to shapeshift and create life. Yes, he is the father of Wonder Woman, so that fits. Number 4. Ares. Ares, yet another Olympian on this list. He is the god of war. So, this guy doesn't want peace. Right off the bat, it tells you that. His powers include teleportation, darkness manipulation, dimensional travel, magic, size alteration, super speed and super strength, telepathy, and mind control. Yeah, he has quite a few. Probably a little bit too much, but he also has great skills that include weaponry and martial arts. And if you're thinking, I wonder why he looks so familiar or sounds familiar, well, you're not wrong. If you saw the 2017 film Wonder Woman, he was the main villain of that movie, and he fought Wonder Woman at the end of the film. Although he was unsuccessful, he still proved himself to be a formidable foe. And surprisingly, once he turned into his true form, he looked pretty comics accurate. Number 3, Lucifer. So, Lucifer is a fallen angel who basically led a rebellion against the presence, and well, he lost. He's quite powerful, and can shape matter, energy, and time. He has the ability of super strength, acidic blood, he can fly, let out a sonic cry, speak to animals, and even telepathy. Yeah, this guy is loaded with powers. However, in the New 52 reboot, they sort of made Lucifer a little less overpowered, relying more on his armies rather than his powers itself. But nonetheless, he's still pretty freaking powerful. At number 2, we have Darkseid. Darkseid is one of the biggest foes in the DC universe. He has gone up against the Justice League, that right away tells you how strong he is. He's not only powerful with his fists, but powerful with his Omega beams that shoot straight out from his eyeballs. The cool thing with these Omega beams is that he can control them in any direction. Yeah, not even Superman can do that with his heat vision. These beams are not only incredibly deadly, so if you get hit by one, you're most likely screwed, but they are also incredibly fast. And in the past, have even been known to catch up to certain speedsters, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Number 1, the Presence. Yeah, this is not really a shocker. So if you don't know, the Presence is basically DC's versions of God, like the main god. The Presence is insanely powerful. Some say the most powerful thing in the entire DC universe. It can do anything. Its powers are limitless. It gave the Spectre his powers, which, as you know, the Spectre is considered to be one of the most powerful beings as well. So, that makes sense once you realize where his powers actually came from. Similar to Spectre, if the Presence takes a human form, the human can die, but the Presence will live on. It can grant powers, resurrect anyone it chooses, and keep going into any host it chooses. If there was a DC, kind of totem pole of the most powerful to the least, the Presence sits alone at the very, very top.
Number 4. Thor. The god of thunder, Thor Odinson, is easily one of the strongest beings in the Marvel universe. When Odin and Gaia, the goddess of earth, came together, the two immortal beings had, well, Thor, designing him to be the strongest of all the other gods in Asgard. It shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, but Thor is, well, ridiculously strong, with Superman level strength, invulnerability, a kinship with the elements themselves, and boasted the ability to wield the mighty mystical hammer Mjolnir. Capable of destroying planets while wielded by Thor, Mjolnir can warp reality, control storms of staggering intensity, enable him to fly at light speed, teleport, and honestly pretty much anything else. While Mjolnir boosted Thor's incredible strength, it also serves as a conduit, as in extreme circumstances Thor can summon his elemental power without any aid. Thor is so powerful that during the Siege storyline, after Norman Osborn and his Dark Avengers almost invaded Asgard, he, well, straight up stopped them. Unfortunately, Sentry swooped in later to topple the city of Asgard, but he was ultimately defeated by none other than Thor again. As the North god of thunder, Thor has the ability to use different aspects of storms such as lightning, rain, wind, and whatever else as weapons. Not to mention his durability is truly something to behold, as in Thor number 300 he withstood the energy blast from the Celestials themselves. He's also been able to fight off the Frost Giants for months at a time without needing to even rest or have any sustenance of any kind, in Thor the Trial of Thor number 1. In his warrior mindset state, Thor's strength and stamina can increase exponentially, but it takes possession of him in some sort of way. It's like a blind fury that will attack everyone around him, including his friends and allies. Now truly, there are few mortals who can challenge the Thunder God. Check out his soul story starting with 1950's Venus, number 11. Number 3. The One Below All. Residing in the lowest depths of the underworld known as the Below Place, the One Below All is the dark counterpart of the One Above All. It is the source of the mutagenic third form of gamma energy, which allows it to use gamma mutates to manifest itself whenever it feels it's necessary. The One Below All is actually what gave the Hulk his powers in the first place, as the gamma bomb test partially opened the green door that Below was kept behind. Fast forward through some really cool events that you should definitely check out for yourself, and we see the One Below All possess the body of Brian Banner as the Devil Hulk, Walter Longkowski as Sasquatch, and the Absorbing Man, which led to the final battle of the Immortal Hulk arc. Revealing its true form, a giant green cloud of crazy gamma energy, the One Below All torments the Hulk so much that Bruce Banner and the Hulk actually separate. However, Absorbing Man was able to reroute the gamma energy that the demon was using into the Hulk's body, and with one just big ol' thunderclap, the One Below All was stopped, at least that time anyways. One Below All is just way too strong, and I will be surprised if he ever appears in, well, anything really. I highly doubt we'll see him anytime soon, so check him out in his first appearance in 2018's Immortal Hulk, number 5. Number 2. The One Above All. Now we can't talk about the One Below All and not go over the One Above All. Easily one of the most powerful beings across all comics, the One Above All is the embodiment of unknowable concept of the transcendent other. With limitless power, he's the one who jump-started reality as we know it, and created whatever rules govern the cosmos and the ethereal entities that run them. He can often choose not to interfere in matters, though he rarely reveals himself to individuals. However, a few times that has happened, like with Peter Parker, and even the time he appeared as Jack Kirby to the Fantastic Four. He is the anchor point for all the power and magic that exists in the multiverse. Now it's rumored that the One Above All might even be Stan Lee himself, as he's capable of creating or destroying all reality should he so choose. In Thor Annual number 14, Thor discusses the existence of the One Above All by saying that it's humbling to know that while the Living Tribunal is one of the most powerful beings in all of the universe, the One Above All who created everything must just be greater than all of his creations combined. The One Above All comes to Peter Parker as a beggar to comfort him after the webhead falls into a spell of depression. He doesn't understand why his life just seems like one big tragedy after the next. But the One Above All reminds Peter of all the good that he's done and the people that he's saved. It was a truly touching issue that introduced us to the true god of the Marvel Universe, who gave Peter the advice he needed to live a long and happy life. So check it out for yourself in 2007's Sensational Spider-Man number 40. Number 1. The Presence. Now we talked about Marvel's true god, so let's take a look at DC's answer to that same question. Put simply, the Presence is the fictionalized counterpart to the god of the Abrahamic but mostly Christian religions. It is considered infinite and eternal and second only to the Primal Monitor, which is essentially the writer or the canvas and paper of whatever comic book he's featured in. Ignoring that, the Presence is otherwise absolute in power. While it can still be hurt or killed like most other deities, the Presence will actually come back. This form that you see the Presence in normally is actually one of the many that he's taken throughout the course of history, so let's go over some of the more well-known. The voice form is the disembodied voice of God that spoke to and empowered Jim Corrigan as the Spectre, and it's actually the primal force in charge of the Spectre's powers. This is the most active version of God seen, to the point that it even answers the Spectre's prayers by resurrecting the murdered Justice Society. When the voice uttered the first word, it created the Word, and it was already being traced by Destiny in his book. book. Now the hand form is, well, a hand that was seen coming out of the nebula at the moment of creation. This is the presence that the rogue guardian Krona saw when he went back to the beginning of time. The hand has been seen again by the Swamp Thing, Deadman, and the Phantom Stranger when heaven was threatened by the return of the original darkness. And finally, the presence is an unseen entity who commences the allegiance of the host of angels. Check out this god in its first appearance in 1940's More Fun Comics, number 52.
Number 4. Superman Prime. Superman Prime comes to us from the DC 1 Million series. This version of Kal-El ends up leaving Earth around the 21st century after everyone he loved has died. You'd think being an immortal being he would have just tried, make some new friends as his old ones were dying. But I guess he decided to not do that and just be a really lonely guy. He ends up leaving Earth to have fun space adventures where he is rumored to have traveled beyond time and space. How does one even do that? How do you travel beyond time and space? Does that make sense? I don't know. Only Kal-El could manage it after about 680 centuries away. That's right, he was gone for 680 centuries. It's a long amount of time. He returns and kind of makes a power cult with his descendants, bestowing them with powers he gained in his travels, so long as they promise to use them for good. Then he returns to his Fortress of Solitude inside the sun, popping back out to help deal with Solaris, an evil artificial sun who Green Lantern began to destroy by causing it to begin to supernova. Superman Prime steps in and simply just squashes the threat of Solaris. He also would later use his power and some DNA, which he retrieved from inside Solaris, to resurrect Lois Lane, who then became Silver. Silver and gold, silver and gold. Number 3. Adam Warlock. When the MCU turned to the comic book arc of the Infinity Gauntlet, we all thought for sure we'd be getting Adam Warlock, right? Whose existence in the MCU was teased at during one of the post-credit scenes for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Why? Well, because Adam Warlock understands these stones on a whole other level, and he was actually the one to wield the glove in the original story and put an end to the chaos, not Iron Man. Sorry Stark fans, sorry about that. Beyond that, in an alternate reality, Warlock also became the new living tribunal, transforming him into a god that stands for justice on a universal scale. Basically, if you're a cosmic superhero, you're definitely gonna have some godlike abilities at some point. Number 2. Franklin Richards. Franklin Richards is probably one of the strongest mutants on the planet. He is the son of Sue Storm and Reed Richards, and I feel like constantly steals the limelight from his sister Valeria when it comes to how OP he is considered within the comics. Well, I'm sure he didn't instantly have powers when he was born, as most mutants do not actually seem to gain their powers until they hit puberty. He definitely was an early developer. This is a child who had to have his mind shut down as a baby by his dad, Mr. Fantastic, as apparently Franklin was revealed to be already too strong and dangerous when he was kidnapped and put in a device that would, granted, unlock the full potential of his psionic abilities. So, okay, maybe sure, but still, he was a baby. Franklin as a young boy also created a pocket universe after Onslaught killed his parents, which he kept inside a blue rubber ball, effectively saving his mom and dad and everyone else Onslaught had killed. Oh, and he and Galactus also end up becoming BFFs. Godlike beings gotta stick together, right? Know you're like a god if you're friends with Galactus, that's what I think. Number 1. Dr. Manhattan. John was sort of already granted godlike abilities as soon as he became the victim of an accident involving a radioactive particle test. It would take him a while, of course, to reform and come to this conclusion. But although this story is therefore more about John Osterman becoming a god, Dr. Manhattan really wasn't fully aware of how godlike his mind was becoming initially. As time progressed, he experienced a detachment to life that he eventually realized kept him separate and allowed him to see himself as being above humanity. The way he was able to view time and the value he put on human life eventually made him not only godlike in ability, but also in his viewpoint. Though he did end up rediscovering the miracle of life when he allowed the Silk Spectre, his former partner Lori, to view the world as he did, and they both discovered that the comedian was actually her father. He was like, wow, that's so amazing. Actually, human life's pretty cool. It's like a miracle. How did your mom and the comedian hook up? That's terrible.